Hello, good morning. Happy Fitness Friday. If you're just now joining me and you don't know me or about me, my name's Jen, and I am a fitness and lifestyle motivation guru. And today I wanted to start with a few things because I really want to address the elephant in the room. Um, Most of you who know me and recently have seen some posts that I've been public about have know that our family experienced a horrible tragedy this last week. Horrible. My daughter's father and my ex-husband passed away tragically in a horrible situation. And to be quite honest, he took his own life. So we're dealing with quite a bit this week. And so I to come on here and not discuss it and to not talk about it is completely unauthentic. And I promised you guys absolute authenticity as I was going through my own personal journey. And this is a part of my story and a part of my journey. So I'm sharing it with you. And this is about this Fitness Friday is about excuses. And I'm going to get to that. And it plays into where I'm at with my life right now. And I want to share that with you too. So it was really interesting. Today I'm not as prepared for Fitness Friday as I usually am. I'm usually like very prepared, very organized, and I have all of my content ready to go. And I'm not. I'm not right now. Just very honestly, I'm not. And that's not like me. And I got into this headspace where I started to say to myself, if it's not going to be perfect, I'm not going to do it. If it's not going to be exactly the way that I usually do it, I'm not going to do it. And I made all these excuses to where people would understand I'm going through a lot. There's been a tragedy in my family and people would understand if I don't show up. I started doing that. I started saying that, wow, I get a hall pass. You know what, you guys? I'm here because I'm trying to show you that even through tragedy, even through adversity, even through things that are absolute gut-wrenching suffering, it is a matter of you understanding that you can control the state of your being by controlling and managing your mind. And so I decided, instead of not making an excuse, to show up and just be transparent and real with you and to give you that all I can in this moment. And that's all we can all do, right? So here I am, completely raw and real. And I might get emotional, and I'm not going to even make an excuse for that, because that's where I am right now in my life. Okay, so there's a few things that I do want to talk to you about. And if you have anything to say or comment, please let me know that you're here. Give me some hearts, give me some love, you guys. I'm here because this matters to me. And it's interesting because, today I managed my mind a lot, and I'll show you how I got out of some excuses, because last week I was in this poor me victimhood situation, and I had to really pull myself out of that. And I use very specific tools that I've learned to pull myself out of that. And I'm going to share them with you today. But first, I'm going to talk about why we create excuses in our life to begin with and where they originate from, because I think it's really powerful to understand where they come from. And I want you to get that, right? I really want you to get that. Hi, Instagram. I'm not ignoring you. I'm sorry. I always forget that I'm dual streaming. Thank you for being here. Thanks for listening. But I want to go to that because I think that you can always commit to being in a better state of being. You can always commit to that, right? But getting there is sometimes hard, and that's where the disconnect is. So I want to talk to you about that. But first, let's digress just a bit, and let's talk about why excuses happen. And I really truly believe that excuses live in the ego. I believe that our excuses live in the ego of fear and anxiety. And I truly, truly believe that. And I think when you can step away from your ego and you can stop looking outward for things that you need, then you can start to really look inward and change the state of your being. Okay, so I truly believe that excuses are almost selfish. They're selfish to the point where, for example, I use this example a lot because, if you have, and this is in health and fitness context, if you're constantly making excuses, if you're constantly saying, I don't have time, I don't have money, I don't have the energy, I don't have the motivation, there's really something underlying there. But really, you're taking the importance of taking care of yourself and your health for granted. And you're giving it away. And instead of taking care of yourself so that you can take care of the people that you love, you're putting that on the back burner. And to me, that's a selfish way of being. And you know, sometimes I speak in a very compassionate, tough love way, and today is going to be one of those days. So, in my opinion, excuses can be a matter of being selfish, especially when it comes to your health and wellness. Because if you're not healthy, if you're not managing your mind, if you're not taking care of your body, you really can't be there for the people that really need you the most. I apologize for the brightness. I can't control this room. It's like this crazy bright sun. So let that sink in for a minute. Okay. And then also let's just talk about, let's just use this as a health and wellness context. So for instance, people that are consumed with ego are consumed with what other people think of them. They're consumed with the fear of being, looking bad or not being perfect or being embarrassed or, feeling a certain way. And so when you're putting all your focus on that, of course, you're going to make excuses to avoid it because we want to, walk away or avoid resistance. And that resistance is going to create uncomfortable feelings. And so we're going to walk away from it, right? I mean, that's what people do. And so let's just use the gym for an example. So if you're consumed in your ego and you're thinking that it's all about you, and you're thinking about how when you walk into the gym, people are looking at you and what they think of you, and thinking about focusing all your energy on that, of course it's going to be a bad experience, and you're going to want to make excuses to avoid it, right? And that's a very egotistical way of looking at things. It's not all about you. And when you walk into the gym, people aren't focusing on you. They're not staring at you. They're not making judgments about you. You might think they are because of the bullshit story, you're telling yourself in your head, but it's not true, right? That's a very narrow-minded way to look at something. So those excuses come from that. They just do, you guys. So if that's landing with you, let me know. I think that's I think that hits home with a lot of people, especially when it comes to this health and wellness context, because we get caught in our own head about all of that. And if you live in your head, you're going to constantly make excuses. So let's talk about how to get away from that. Because if you're looking at it from a 30,000 foot view, as my friend Puri says, instead of this surface view, you're going to see the bigger picture. And a lot of the times we get away from our why when we're starting to make excuses. Our excuses are, based on things that are, causing us resistance. But if we're really focusing in on our why, about why we want these things, why we want to be healthy, why we want to be fit, why we want to be strong, and we start to think about our why, excuses start to diminish. So if you can really take on a way to change the state of your being, the state of your mindset, and put the focus on the why, the bigger picture, the excuses will slowly start to diminish, right? So I use two different tools. And I'm going to use my daughter as an example. So a lot of you that are in my fitness, this group, you're going to see a video of my daughter. And I posted the other day, it was Wednesday. She's experiencing the most horrific tragedy of her life. This is part of her story now, right? It's ingrained in her. It's her. So imagine that. Imagine this little girl being stuck in that space, and imagine what it would take for her to get herself out of that. And she did. She managed her mind, but she started with her body. So I want to explain this to you. She could have lived in this state of suffering. She could have lived in this state of excuses that I'm not going to do anything. I'm just going to lay in bed. I'm going to stay in this state of suffering. I'm going to allow my mind to stay there. Or she could not make that excuse. And she could change the state of her mind. She can change the state of her being by taking action. By taking action. And so let's just talk about that for a minute. She took action. She literally changed the state of her suffering, her sadness, by changing what she focused on. And instead of focusing on the loss and the tragedy in her life, she focused on her ability to move her body because her dad couldn't. She focused on the ability to show up for herself and to commit to that process. She stopped making excuses. She changed the state of her being by putting herself into action. So when you put your body into action, it absorbs the feelings. Like if you're feeling pain, of course you're going to get into a state of misery and sadness. But if you're focusing on instead something else, your body and your state of being will change also. So instead of her focusing on that, she focused on changing the state in her environment, moving her body, and that's going to fill her with endorphins and change her state of being. Right? So it's about action also. So focusing your mind and changing your state of being is important. And then action, right? Taking a step and moving your body is also another way to get out of excuses. Those are the two things that I use. I always focus on the state of being. And I can choose to sit here today and I can choose to focus on all of the misery that my family is going through, all the suffering, or I can choose to change my state of being and look at all the people that I still continue to get to help. I look at the clients that messaged me this morning and one lost 3 pounds, one lost another 2.5 pounds, lost inches, was able to, break free of some self-limiting beliefs. I can focus on that and I can change my state of being. So it is your choice. You can manage your mind. You can. Okay. So I also want to make sure you guys understand that when you're making excuses, I want this to sink in for you. When you're making excuses, it actually lowers your ability to trust yourself. When you don't show up and do what you've committed to, when you don't finish what you start, it not only lowers the ability for you to trust yourself, but it lowers the value you have in yourself and your abilities. And that feeds and grows self-limiting beliefs. Did you guys hear me? When you make excuses, you lower your ability to trust yourself. You lower your ability to basically understand your abilities and capabilities, and then you doubt them. Self-doubt creeps in, self-limiting beliefs creep in, and it trickles down to having less faith in yourself in all aspects of your life. You guys get that? Stop making excuses. Start managing your mind. Manage your mind so you can manage the state that you're in. Does that make sense? You guys getting that? Thanks, Mary Beth. Manage your mind so you can manage the state of your being. Okay? So the way that you do that is your focus. You've got to focus on something that gets you out of that excuse-driven path. So for me, right now, I'm focusing on you. I'm focusing on outward giving. I'm focusing on how I can make a difference, how I can change the perspective of what happened this last week in our family and change it for something different, right? Changing the perspective of this is bringing our family together in a different way, but it's bringing our family together. We're experiencing more love. I'm allowing more love into my life. I'm giving more love. I'm giving more time. I'm understanding what's really important, and I'm not going to make excuses and go hide. I'm not going to make excuses and go hide. I'm going to use this to encourage and to continue to do what I'm doing so that I can change the state of my being and focus on helping and giving back. And that's a choice, right? It's a choice. You guys all have that choice every single day. Every single one of you has that choice. Does that make sense? Okay. So, and also, when you start to make excuses and you find yourself in that state, my biggest recommendation to you is instead of getting caught in that headspace and going down that road of negativity that's so easy to go down. Tony Robbins says something real interesting. He gives this comparison of the dirt road is always the road that is like on the road to optimism. It's the bumpy road. It's the path, and it's hard to do that all the time. And then the highway is always the easy path to the negativity and the why me, the suffering, the victimhood. Because that's the easy way to go, right? It's like that's the way that the world goes, it seems. Like we're in this world of overwhelm. And so if you start to understand that sometimes you have to take the dirt road, the bumpy road, in order to get that optimism, in order to shift your state of mind, in order to shift the state of your being, that's okay. Because honestly, like if you choose that bumpy road and you choose to make sure that you're going down the bumpy road instead of the negative, easy road, it's going to change your state of being, but it's also going to grow your confidence in yourself. It's going to grow the commitment you have to yourself. And that growth and the confidence you have in yourself is going to get rid of all those self-limiting beliefs so that you can really grow and thrive in your life. Does that make sense? Hope that's landing with you guys. So I just wanted to share a few things. I'm really sorry about this light. It's really hard to see me, and I'm really sorry. I'm trying to figure it out, but I haven't found a good spot. So hopefully that landed with you guys today. And I really just wanted to take a moment to talk to you about excuses and why they're not serving you. And every time you find yourself making an excuse, I want you to go back to your why. The real reason, the real core of why. Why, and a lot of people say, oh, I want to lose weight. That's bull. Like, that's crap. Like, that's not big enough. It's like, it's really hard to learn how not to lose weight in this culture. Like seriously, everybody kind of intuitively or knows consciously how to lose weight. Like everybody understands the basics, right? It's everywhere. But putting them into action is how you manage your mind. Putting them into action is how you manage the excuses. Putting those whys into action is actually taking the moments to take a step forward and to get rid of those self-limiting beliefs by getting rid of the excuses. So try that. Try that instead. Try that instead. So I do want to end today by telling you all, I'm sorry I didn't prepare like I usually do, but I'm also not sorry, because I really wanted to just show up as me today and not have to be perfect, not have to put that pressure on myself, not make excuses for myself, and just accept and give myself some grace that this is real life, right? It's not always rainbows and butterflies. This is my life right now, and I'm choosing to share it with you in hopes that my vulnerability and my authenticity will inspire you to not only maybe show up in a different way in your life, but to just really put it all out there and know that your vulnerability can always, and sometimes mostly, be your strength. So I'm going to leave you with that today, and I hope that you found this useful. I hope that it inspired you or motivated you in some way to make some changes in how you're giving yourself self-talk and how you're talking to yourself, and how you're learning to change the state of your being by using your mind. So hopefully this helped. If it did, let me know. I'd love to hear from you. And I'm trying to keep my my Fitness Fridays under 20 minutes because I know you guys have a life, but I appreciate you spending time with me and honoring me in that way. It's very powerful. The other thing I wanted to ask you guys is, I kind of feel like Fitness Friday is a super cliche word. It's like a super cliche name I've given this morning kind of weekly thing we do. And it doesn't really fit, because I think we cover so much more than fitness. I mean, it's all relative, right? But I mean, I think we really just dive into a lot of topics. And so if you guys have any fun names for me, I'm ready to take them on. If you've been listening to me for a while now, I kind of feel like that Fitness Friday is kind of a cliche, and I'm not too sure it fits what we're actually doing anymore. So it's morphed and changed and shifted, right? So let me know if you have any thoughts. I'm curious. Okay, so post them here if you do have some thoughts about anything I talked about today, or you just have some feedback or anything you want to share. I'd appreciate it. And then I will be posting this on my YouTube channel, so I'll put the link here if you guys want to share it. If you think someone could benefit from hearing it, I would appreciate you doing that. And thank you for listening. Thank you for allowing me the space to show up, not only for you, but for myself. Okay, bye guys. Have a great Friday.